I'll allow myself to play my video games a lot more when I don't have a lot in me, in the way that I don't have a lot in me when I'm dysthymic or depressed. And so it kind of took me a while to realize it, because I just was going with the flow and following my body. And, soon enough I was seeing the signs, like, oh, okay. Like, oh, you haven't unpacked your bag from last weekend going to, my boyfriend's house. And the new weekend comes that, I'm supposed to go over there. And instead of like going to get everything from the closet like normal, I just realized my bag is still sitting there halfway unpacked, because I took out all my toiletries and stuff, for the week, but I didn't unpack the whole thing. And there's, a pile of clothes that I need to hang up on like my special pile of clothes chair. Hello, and welcome to Embodying Mystical Mac. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. I am Mac, as those of you who are returning already know. And today we have a personal episode. It's been such a long time since I've done one, which is exciting because that means I'm finding content for my YouTube channel and my podcast that is organically coming to me. And of course, it's fun when the things happen, like Little Mermaid trailer and the like. However, I have been meaning to do this personal episode for a very long time. I know I've been talking about it for a long time. If you've been here for a while, you know that from the moment I mention something to the moment that it actually reaches the stratosphere of Embodying Mystical Mac as content, really unpredictable amount of time between those two. Like literally all the things I've said, they're still planned. They are still here. They're bothering me as we speak. But that's just kind of what happens. So I have been talking about this personal episode for a long time. And the thing is, like, I usually announce, I'm doing this, or I want to do this video, whatever, when that idea is kind of forming itself. So I announced that I would be doing a personal episode when that thought was beginning to take root, right? When it was manifesting as this feeling of like, oh man, it's been a long time, lots of things feel like they've changed and happened. And plus, I think like the last one that I did was New Year, like 2022 reflections maybe, and I think I did that back in, was it February? I'm not sure. Maybe January. I'm guessing it was closer to February. So yeah, I'm just kind of gonna tell you what I've been, dealing with and whatnot. I have been going through kind of a rough depression phase. It's kind of hard. I don't know. I'm a very high functioning depressive person, so I struggle with the word depression because I obviously have no scope of understanding for what it is to be someone else in that state. I only know what it is to be myself in that state. And for me, even though it is not high functioning by my standards, I can honor that I don't really come across as a depressed person. And so anyway, I'm alluding to the title here, right? Managing my depression while finding inner peace. Depression is something that, depression, I deal with depression occasionally. I deal with dysthymia a lot more often, which is a sort of less intense, lesser version of depression, in the sense that the symptoms are more mild, the overwhelm is, like, all of it is just a little bit more mild. And occasionally I do actually hit like a depressive slump. But typically I go through these phases and it ends up being something like dysthymia. So lo and behold, recently, when I realized, like, oh no, holy shit, I'm depressed, like actually depressed. And how do I know that? Let's see. I am not going to speak for everyone here by any means. I'm only going to speak for myself. How do I know when I'm depressed? Well, my dishes just don't get done as often. I am consistently bothering myself about, changing my reptiles' water, but simultaneously like procrastinating a day or two longer than I should. Again, by my happy Mac standards, not depressed Mac standards, So, I got the dishes and chores just kind of like go by the wayside a little bit. It's harder for me to motivate myself to do really simple things like my nighttime, skincare routine, which I end up doing, but sometimes it happens in a way that I'm like managing it really well and I didn't, force myself. And then sometimes it does kind of take like a little like, okay, like, come on, because, and this is simply because I have the foresight to know you're going to be more depressed about it if you wake up tomorrow with like a new zit on your face or something because you didn't, wash your face tonight. And I know that's like very extreme. Like, it's not like my skin barrier isn't there or anything like that. Like, that is just how my all or nothing mind kind of works at times. And yeah, lo and behold, I realized like, whoa, I'm actually depressed. And okay, luckily, like part of the reason that I didn't realize that I was depressed is that I really am just following my body. I'm just following, God damn it. I swear to God, I fucking hate this thing. It just like leans and then eventually it just gets to like here. And I'm like, ugh. For those of you on the podcast, I'm talking about my microphone stand, but like at this point, we're not getting rid of it. It's just gonna become a running joke. Yeah, so I've gotten really good, I guess. I found this out recently, that at following my body and kind of listening to it a little bit more, because the reason that my dishes and my chores have kind of gone off the wayside, correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I probably am. The reason for that is because I've just been allowing myself to play video games and watch videos. Like, granted, the videos are research for a video, but still, I'll allow myself to play my video games a lot more when I don't have a lot in me, in the way that I don't have a lot in me when I'm dysthymic or depressed. And so it kind of took me a while to realize it because I just was going with the flow and following my body. And, soon enough, I was seeing the signs like, oh, okay. Like, oh, you haven't unpacked your bag from last weekend going to, my boyfriend's house. And the new weekend comes that, I'm supposed to go over there, and instead of like going to get everything from the closet like normal, I just realized my bag is still sitting there halfway unpacked because I took out all my toiletries and stuff, for the week, but I didn't unpack the whole thing. And there's, a pile of clothes that I need to hang up on like my special pile of clothes chair. And yeah, it's it's interesting. So I just started to see the signs and I was like, okay, well, I guess this is what's happening, and now we deal. So that's why I titled it that, because I've considered things like, I'm like, would I ever want to go on mood stabilizers? Would I ever want to go on antidepressants? And while I'm not ruling anything out in the sense of like, if that is what I have to do as a last resort, I will do it, and I won't judge myself for it. Point blank. Because what is the point in doing it if I'm just going to be riddled with self-judgment and self-consciousness, right? But I want to go without those things, ultimately. I have a regular therapist, and that is one of the key things, but also one of the key things is I'm very very committed to my growth on an internal level, very committed to not even not needing those things, like I'm not even going to phrase it like that, to just functioning without them. Functioning and following my body in a way where I don't have judgment for the depressive state. I don't have judgment for the dysthymic state. I have a mood disorder. That's just that is a thing that I was dealt. And what's really interesting is that, again, speaking for myself personally, like this is not an episode where like I'm generalizing in any way. And if I do, you'll know, and it'll be for a very special reason. For me personally, my depressive and dysthymic states don't have to knock me over completely and totally stop my life from moving. Will I have those days and those moments? Yes. Yes, totally. However, they're days and they're moments. And that's not even just like me conceptualizing, that's just what I have experienced for myself. So, sure, I could go on a mood stabilizer so that I could avoid my dysthymia, or go on antidepressants so I can boost myself back up to quote, quote, normal. But the thing is that this has always been my normal. And I don't say that with any like negative or positive connotation. It's just what it is. For as long as I can remember, I have felt so much. So much. And I don't know that I would like being any other way, to be honest. Wow, I'm feeling so much because there's so much truth to what I'm saying, and that means that all this self-love work that I've been doing for quite literally freaking years at this point, this is a result that I actually mean what I'm saying right now. I don't feel that I would like, or rather I feel that I really wouldn't like not feeling as grandly as I do. That's pretty cool. Because I definitely remember a time where the thought all the time around my feeling was, man, if I could just feel less, if I could just feel less, if I could just feel less. Not anymore. Do I have those moments still? Sure. Yeah. But again, they're moments. So, yeah, I contemplate that a lot, and so I don't know. I don't know why I necessarily went on that tangent. Maybe some of you might be wondering, why I don't just get a mood stabilizer since I have a mood disorder, or do the antidepressant thing. There you go. And also, going back to my original point that, I found it. Also, as I was saying, my depression and my dysthymia don't get in the way of my life. While I create art when I'm happy, I can also honor that when I'm feeling really deeply to the point where it's overwhelming because it's, sadness or something, sadness, sorrow, maybe anger. Whenever there are negative feelings, for me personally, it tends to be a lot easier for me to like pour that into art, as opposed to when I'm happy, which it's not that I can't create art, it's that it's more of like a I want to create art, as opposed to like a I have to create art. So whether I'm not depressive or dysthymic, or I am, I know that I'll always have a creative reservoir, and that really matters to me, right? I'll always have a creative reservoir for this channel, and for my music, and for my poetry, and my writing as a whole, my visual art. And so that's another thing that I wouldn't want to take that away. Like, yeah, I've just gotten to this place where I'm finally just gonna start. While I was still getting comfortable with this idea that I experienced dysthymia and I experienced depression, I would be really hesitant to tell people, you know, like if they're like, oh, how are you? She's like, oh yeah, I'm cool, like I'm okay. And now sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, I'm a little depressed, but we'll deal. You know, and I feel like it might off-put some people, but I just want to destigmatize it. Like, I just want to get rid of this weird thing that we need to be ashamed of being deep feeling people that go through these quote negative quote phases. You know, for the most part, I don't lash out at people. I'm saying for the most part because, again, no absolutes. Because I have lashed out when I'm depressed and whatnot. But for the most part, not really a thing that happens. So, yeah, and it's kind of interesting because learning to accept myself in that phase has made me be able to, like, be going through it, not even realize that I'm going through it, and then finally realizing, like, oh shit, this is what's happening. And the only, like, part of contention around that is like, man, why didn't I notice this sooner? But then when I really pull back and think about it, I'm like, wow, it's because I was just going through it and allowing myself to go through it. Brilliant. Chef's kiss. 10 out of 10. Go Mac. Go growth. Celebrate yourself right now for something that you did or learned or demonstrated that you know your past self couldn't have done. Let's go. Do it. I'm taking a sip of water while you do it. All right. Good job. I'm proud of you, by the way. Pat on the back to you. Next, coming to peace with my depression. We talked about that. Next, okay, if you haven't noticed my friend back there, she's so pretty. Look at her. Look at her. My bi flag. Yes. I'm queer. If you don't like that, that's okay. We don't have to vibe. I just ask that you see yourself out. Yeah, because that's the grown-up thing to do. Cool. Now that is said, because that's like the one thing that must be announced, and I do believe that in the times that we're in, typically, listen, if queer rights weren't still being attacked at a record rate, 2022 was like literally the most anti-LGBTQ plus bills that we've had in the US in I don't know how long, but regardless, really fucking scary that it's happening in 2022, that it happened in 2022, and the shit in 2023 is just fucking ridiculous. It's not what we're here to talk about, so I digress on that part, but especially because if you just type in on Google, like, anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in the US in 2022, you will find just a horrifically long list that honestly just shouldn't even be a thing. So in the times that we're in, I really do believe it's very important to state that aspect of myself and that part of my identity. One, because if there are people here who do not vibe with that and have any sort of discrimination against that, and that you haven't examined and deconstructed and learned about, then I really just want that to be put up front, and you can, again, like I said, I prefer you to leave until you have deconstructed that and really looked into it, because that's not my job, and I'm not gonna put up with any sort of discrimination or bigotry because I'm bisexual. So that, those are my two reasons, right? We stand with the freaking queer community, and we stand with people having rights, and I'm going to be standing here with my beautiful bi flag. Yeah. Next, I started making music. Ooh, I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. Like, honestly, so excited about it. I'm making reggae pop. I'm just so stoked. I love reggae music. I've loved reggae music for such a long time. It is the kind of music that just has love and connectivity and oneness at its roots, and it's just expanded into this beautiful genre with beautiful people, and I've been so fortunate to meet some of them and just attend some of these awesome shows and experiences, and it's just, I'm so excited to be making music right now. While I feel like I started way too fucking late, I also recognize that I could have never started before now, because reggae pop is, it's where my heart is, and I never would have known that prior to very, very recently. So I'm so excited. I'm working with a producer. My first song is already done, and I'm beyond stoked to release it. I don't know if I'm going to release it by itself first and then release an EP, or if I'm just going to like group it all together and release an EP, but, or like, you know, group this first song together with the EP that I'm working on. I don't know yet, but I'm really excited. I start recording my second song, I'm recording this on a Sunday, so not tomorrow, but the next Monday. And yeah, I wrote this other I wrote this song yesterday as well that I'm just so proud of. Definitely a song that came out of my need to create art, and when I sing it, I get chills, and so I'm like, wow, this one's gonna be really special. So I'm so overwhelmingly excited to be doing this. I feel like it's so cliche, and I feel like everybody, like every fucking YouTuber under the sun, like makes music, but like, I don't know, I'm not claiming to be like not like them or whatever, not at all. Yeah, I am exactly like them. I really have this desire to make music, and I've found that I have so many song ideas, and when I do flesh them out, like, I really end up liking them, and it's kind of crazy because I remember writing songs that I really feel were pretty bad in middle school and things like that, and maybe in high school I dabbled in a couple song or two. I definitely feel like I dabbled in a song or two when I was like maybe like 22, 23, but like the ones I'm writing now, it feels like my songwriting skills have like aged like wine. And I'm just stoked. It's like I can feel something and get this like idea of a rhythm, idea of a melody, and I can play with it a little bit, and then suddenly I have something to build off of. And I do have my baritone uke, which is amazing, and I love her, and I've been creating some really dope shit. And so my name, my band name is MAC. But I have it kind of like a little funky in the sense that I have a capital M, a period, a lowercase a, and then a period, and then a C. And then my Instagram and my YouTube channel that I don't have anything on yet for is at Mac and the Music, because unfortunately Mac, it's kind of like the reason I have it spelled and aesthetically done the way that I have it is because it's supposed to stand for Mac and Company, because eventually I'm gonna have a band to perform and things, right? So unfortunately Mac and Company wasn't available on Instagram, and I went through so many combinations. Oh man, you don't even know. I went through so many combinations. And eventually I thought of Mac and the Music, and I was like, okay, let's try it out. That was available, and I was like, okay. So anyway, yeah, it's Mac, but when you get the visual of it, it's a little cheekier and a little cooler looking. And yeah, I'm really fucking excited. I'm so stoked. It's gonna be so much fun, and yeah, you'll know when I release things. I'm sure I'll add my songs to, like, you know, my videos and like the beginning and maybe the outro, that kind of thing. But I'm really excited to embark on this journey. Let's see, next, I've definitely still been on that journey with money. When I talk about my journey with money, by the way, and just content warning for people who think the law of attraction is bullshit and like think everybody who believes in it is crazy, you can skip this part. When I talk about my work around money, I'm mostly talking about my vibrational work around money. Yes, am I focused on like physically acquire more money, you know, doing things in such a way that I can acquire more money practically? Yes, of course, that's on my mind. However, I've lived my life for the past, holy shit, like definitely over a decade, like 13 years now, maybe 12 years, yeah, 11 to 12 years now, under the assumption that the law of attraction does exist, and that while I don't subscribe to this idea of like everything that happens to you is your fault sort of thing, I think it's a lot more nuanced than that, and I don't appreciate when the law of attraction gets like oversimplified in that way. But I do operate with this belief that we exist in a universe that is governed by the law of mirroring, which people like to call the law of attraction. And the law of mirroring is, basically, I call it the law of mirroring because what it is, it's that it's whatever is within you will get mirrored to you. So I've been doing my own shadow work and doing my own personal work from the inside out, in the way that I've been assessing how I feel about certain things, in this case money, and dissecting the beliefs that I have around it, and replacing those beliefs with favorable beliefs that will help me have a sense of calm and control around money, but not a suffocating type of control. You know, the sense of calm is key. A sense of abundance and expectance. Is that a word? And a sense of abundance and an expectation around money, in the sense of like, I just expect that I am always attracting and circulating money. And that way of that belief system has yielded fantastic results in other areas of my life. And it feels like I'm just now really consciously applying it to money. And believe me, I honestly feel it's very difficult. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard, because I really do feel like most of me is very free of these negative beliefs around money, but I have a very, very strong, like feels like 3 to 5% that just will not yield. And all I can do is just continue to work on it. Continue to do, the tapping around it. For those of you who don't know, I'm talking about the emotional freedom technique of tapping on these certain acupressure points and saying certain affirmations. Anyway, you have to look it up. Look up EFT if you want to know what I'm talking about. But tapping around it, listening to binaural beats around it when going to sleep, repeating affirmations and stuff. And these aren't things that I feel like when people say that because of the new age movement, and again how things get oversimplified, a lot of people assume oh, they're just so stupid and so silly and so crazy. And okay, that's fine. That's a fair perspective. And I'll be real, some people don't understand why affirmations are affirmations. They don't really get the whole scope of it. And part of the reason that I hadn't been doing affirmations before is because I knew that if I were to do affirmations around money, it would just exacerbate my negative beliefs about it. And I've essentially worked those negative beliefs down to a point now that saying the affirmations don't have an effect on my negative beliefs. In fact, the affirmations, I can feel them doing what they're supposed to do, which is instilling me with the belief that the affirmation is affirming. So affirmations aren't, they can seem very silly, but it's not necessarily about the words you say as much as you having the capacity to really believe them. So that's part of why I've also incorporated those. I'm a big words of affirmation girl, honestly, when it comes to the love languages. And I know that that's not super, super vetted science, but I do appreciate the love languages, and I do identify with that philosophy. So words of affirmation being one of my love languages it's something that I can use as a tool in this case. And yeah, it's hard to talk about this because I feel like I don't really have the words. I have these conversations in my head with myself most of the time. But I've been doing things like when I feel anxious about spending money, reminding myself I'm choosing to spend this money. I don't have to spend this money. I'm choosing to spend it. And if I'm going to have bad feelings about it because it's really ultimately something that I don't need and I'm being frivolous, or that kind of scenario, then that's up to me to evaluate and just make the better choice. But a lot of the time, it's just my default to be anxious about spending in general. For example, my partner and I are sharing a car right now, and I'm gonna go meet him at his job, and I'm gonna get a Lyft. And I was looking at the Lyft prices, and they're not high or anything. They're what I expected, from the distance that I'm going, and considering that I live in LA and whatnot. But even still, even though it is an amount that I am more than comfortable spending, that is more than comfortable in my budget,
it's still my default to be like, oh, but I'm going to spend X amount. And it's not even about the amount. That's the freaking silly thing. Like, it's not even about the amount. So, yeah, in those moments, I've just been reminding myself to be like, remember, you're choosing to spend this because it gets you something. Let's be grateful for what it gets me. You know? And whenever I remember that, to catch myself in that, I do. And that's been part of my strategy, and I've been really, really appreciating it. And yeah, those are the things that I've been doing. And those are the things that I've been doing, and I've just been chugging along. It's more of an internal process for sure. Sure, do I do like little things, like the physical things, like the affirmations? Do I have little, I don't even know what they're called. I guess I'll just use the general word for it. I have little objects that are meant to attract abundance and wealth and those things. And I've even placed them in places that are feng shui friendly. And so I have those kinds of things, but ultimately it's just this inner process. And I realize too that it's not just money, because money is energy ultimately. So part of my relationship to money and part of this process is, and I know this next thing that I'm going to say is probably going to sound crazy to a lot of people. Like, please refrain from being an asshole in the comments. Just, if it's not your belief, it's not your belief. That is totally cool. You do not have to crucify me for it. I've had this belief that I have to work my ass off if I want to earn a lot of money for my whole life. And I know that that's a belief that a lot of people have. I'm determined to shed that. Because there have been now thousands upon thousands upon tens of upon thousands of instances of people that have earned a lot of money without having to do much. I'm not going to go into my anecdotal and research experience here. This is something that I've observed and read about in different people's biographies and whatever, and those kinds of things. Again, personal episode. This isn't like me being well researched or anything. And if anything, like, I'm giving you this information to give you context that this isn't a belief that I want to shake because, like, I just decided one day, even though that would be valid too. I am a person who, while as much as I'm very intuitive, and yeah, there's a very good chance that there are a lot of things that I have just decided one day, like, this is what I believe, and it made sense to me, and from then on I kind of, nothing, it hasn't been disproved, and I haven't not believed it. This is one of those things where, like, I really examined that. Like, I really, really, really examined that. And I realized that I was like telling myself that I don't believe that, I have to work super, super, super hard to earn the kind of money that I want to earn. But I realized that I still believed that. And so I realized that at this point, I've had a lot of observational experience to know that that is not a belief I have to hold on to in order to make the kind of money that I want to make. And that is very much intertwined with my overall energy expenditure and how respectful I am of my own boundaries and my own energy. Which is really, really, really interesting, because this perfectly segues into the last thing that we're here to talk about, which is settling into and understanding my human design. For those of you who don't know what human design is, it is a phenomenal system to that is kind of akin to astrology, but quite different. I only say that it's akin to astrology because there's nothing else that I can compare it to, but they are two very different systems for differentiating each individual human being. But that is what they are, right? Each is a system for differentiating human beings. And I'm not going to go deeply into human design itself. That is not the point of this video. So if you want to hop off here because you don't care about the human design part, because you don't know what it is and you don't care to hear about it, because I'm not going to go super in depth, I totally respect that. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Stay mystical, stay grounded. And for those of you that just want to stay and hang out, even though you don't know a lot about it, but you want to pick up context clues and, maybe look it up on your own after you're done here, I'm here. Hello. And for those of you that know, hello, welcome. Let me know what you think below, please. So I'm a manifester. I'm an ego manifester, to be technical about it. And I am a 2/4. I'm a hermit opportunist. These are all human design terms, by the way. And some things that I've really been settling into, that I'm going to use the segue from the money conversation to come into, is this idea that I don't have just this like regenerative source of energy. Like my energy doesn't function like in the sense that like a generator, I was about to say. For those of you that don't know what that means, I don't wake up every day with the same amount of energy. And that is honestly part of the reason why I think I've innately stayed away from things like 9-to-5 jobs. I've done a lot of part-time that were paid more than minimum wage. Like I've done a lot of nannying, I've done a lot of, I've served at restaurants and stuff, and high volume restaurants and things. So even though you're making minimum, you're also making a lot in tips and things like that. So I've chosen part of the reason that I've also chosen gig work a lot of the time is because I was trying to be an actress. But that was also, now that I think about it, a little bit of a saving grace, because my energy, the way that it works, I really do get it in bursts, and then I have to rest in periods. So this manifestor energy cycle and momentum thing has been something that I've really been settling into and really been kind of understanding and making peace with. And I really do believe that my understanding that and having respect for that is going to serve me deeply when it comes to my relationship to money, because money is energy. And yes, shaking that belief that I have to work super hard to earn a lot of money. Part of that is knowing that I can honor my cycles. I can honor myself. I can honor the times when I don't have the energy and I just need to rest. And still make the kind of money that I want to make. So that's something about settling into my human design that's been really interesting. I've already talked about it a little bit when I was talking about my depression and how it's manifested and why I haven't realized that what it is until now. I've just really been listening to my body. Like if it tells me I need rest and I really want to record this video, but I know that I just don't have the energy, I just don't have it in me, I don't do it. And excuse me, I don't do it, and I just rest. And similarly, when I feel, like I'm irritable or whatever, I start to ask myself, like, am I holding myself back from doing something that I really need to do, that I really want to do? And then if so, then I do it. If not, if it's just, good old irritability because of other things, then I deal with it accordingly. But I do remember to ask myself that question. As for my line 4 situation, I've really been trying to hone in on the fact that my opportunities come from my network. This is something that I really don't think that I've put enough stock in, and I think I need to really put enough stock into this, because if I look back, my best opportunities, the ones that have worked out the best for me in some way, shape, or form, have been from my network. So that's just something I've been really honing in on. Oh, and then on the opposite of that, because I'm a 2-4. So on the hermit line, I've really just been allowing myself to be a hermit. Like it's not that I didn't allow myself before, but it's just that I would like have these sort of like preconceptions that I had to, I don't know, that I had to like go out because other people go out, you know, or I had to do this or that because other people say that, oh, you know, spending your Friday and Saturday night in your apartment, doing whatever, like whether it's watching TV or singing karaoke by yourself or playing video games is like not okay, or you're a loser if you do that or whatever. I don't know. I feel like I still had some like residual beliefs that were leaving around that, and they're gone. They've left. Now I find myself like, it's a Friday, it's a Saturday, and I'm like jamming in here. I'm like, this is great. This is great. But when I get called out, hey, I go, and it's fun. Not always, but when I do and it's something I'm down for at the moment, I'm like, yeah, for sure. I go and I have a good time, and then I come back to my cave. Okay. Lastly, allowing myself to be big. I know it seems so silly because I'm quite small, actually. I don't know if you can tell that. I definitely feel like it's kind of hard to tell with watching people on YouTube, but I'm quite small, and I have a very big energy by virtue of being a manifester. Not saying that other types don't have big energies. Again, this is all talking about me here. I'm just saying that it's been communicated to me time and time again how I have a big energy. And then I discovered that I was a manifester, and like kind of how that big energy fits in with that type and whatnot. A lot of things became clearer. And one of the advice for manifestors from human design coaches and people is to really gravitate towards the people that want you to be your biggest, brightest self. And to not really forge deep connections with the people who don't. And at worst, definitely not with the people who are averse to it and want to make you feel small and want to make you small. And if you don't really get what I'm saying, I would imagine we've all had a situation where, you know, maybe we had a really big accomplishment that we were really proud of. And maybe it was our parent or a friend or whatever. And someone just goes, yeah, but, you know, so-and-so did better. Or, yeah, but that's still just this grade. You could have gotten that better grade. You know, or like, yeah, sure, it's cute, but it's not that. It's just like, that kind of thing just makes a person feel small. You have this thing you're super proud of to share, and then instead of being like, wow, thank you so much for sharing it with me, here's my opinion, you know, and not even like, here's my opinion, it doesn't have to be anything specific, it just has to be gracious and kind, you know. No, it's not met with that. Instead, it's met with like a put down. That makes a person feel small. And man, when I really looked at that, I was like, wow. I feel like too often in my life, I have tried to make myself small, to be around people that really didn't want me around anyway. And the moment I found people who did and who championed my big self, everything changed. Everything. So, allowing myself to be big also means knowing that not everybody's gonna like me. And that's true for everyone, honestly. This is the part where I'm generalizing. Not everybody's gonna like you. It's just that my lived experience, it's been really difficult for me to deal with that when people don't like me. But it's something that I have to deal with because I've never, and this is my thing. Ugh, I fucking hate, ugh. I don't even want to say any of this because people are like, she's a pick-me, me. No, it's not. Ugh, it's not about that. Okay, anyway, I've gotten a lot of feedback my whole life that the way I do things or the way I operate or the way I think is not like most people they know think or operate or do things. And while some of those things are just like whatever, benign and silly, other things have been things like support queer rights. You know? Let a pregnant person decide what to do with their own body. Those kinds of things. Let's not shame people because they want to believe in whatever they want to believe, as long as it's not fucking harming anybody. Who gives a crap? Those kinds of things. Treat children with respect like you would any other adult, and be willing to actually guide them and help them grow, as opposed to try to train them and control them. Those kinds of things that unfortunately in way too many places in this world are still very foreign, very contrarian beliefs. So if I'm going to embrace myself and being big, that means I have to embrace the fact that I have these very big opinions that sometimes are contrarian to what we have going on in society today, and that is going to ruffle feathers and bother people. And I have to be okay with that. And that's a really, really fucking hard pill to swallow for me. But at the end of the day, I feel better when I allow myself to be the full size of what my energy is, as opposed to try to shove myself into a little box. I'm loud and I'm expressive, and I feel shit really deeply, and I get moved emotionally quite easily, and I have a lot of compassion, and I have a lot of anger when other people don't have compassion. And somehow I've been honored with the ability to express all of that in song or in visuals or in prose or poetry or in speaking. I was going to say public speaking, but this isn't really public speaking. So, if when I allow myself to be big, that energy just naturally flows out into these things that are starting to sustain me on this planet where we have to pay to live on it. What do I have to lose? Okay, so I'm gonna ruffle feathers. People won't like me. That would happen anyway. So that's where I'm at. Thank you so much for being here. If you've made it this far, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and please click the bell because I post regularly, but I don't post on a schedule. Yeah, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can do those things. However, you can also support the channel by checking out my affiliates below. There's natural Shilajit, which is an awesome super nutrient that you can stir into your hot beverages. And then there's It Just Works Deodorant, which is an awesome deodorizing supplement that helps to deodorize you from the inside out. And additionally, you can email me, embodyingmysticalmac@gmail.com, to book a tarot reading. I do 30-minute readings for $40, and typically they're very insightful. We can hone in on a certain situation, or we can do a general life reading. It is up to you, but you can email me. It's all in the description below. Lastly, if you'd like to follow me on socials, you can find me at Embodying Mystical Mac, and that is for TikTok as well as Instagram. And if you want to follow my music account, that is at Mac and the Music, and I'll have to add that here. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I love doing these personal episodes. Like I said, I do have a therapist, but there's something special about sharing this here, especially because when I do these personal episodes, I really have taken a lot of time to stew on the information that I'm going to share. And typically I will create like a little, podcast people. I will create like a little outline so that I keep to the topic, because I feel like I could go off on tangents when I'm doing personal episodes really easily. So it's not like I come to you, fresh like I do to, say, my therapist or like a best friend or even my partner. However, it's still really vulnerable and really raw, and I do end up figuring out things that I didn't know before, which is really, 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 really fucking cool. And I really appreciate that. I honestly really, really do, that you're here, that you're watching. The last personal episode was one of like the better performing episodes, or not episodes, the better performing videos that I've had on YouTube, which was just so pleasantly surprising and so amazing to see. So thank you so much for that. Yeah. Stay mystical, stay grounded. Again, follow me on the socials if you want to support the channel. All of that's down below. Please like, subscribe, click that bell, because I will be seeing you next time. Mwah! Goodbye. I need to drink a gallon of water now because I've just recorded 2 episodes. Whew.